Hi friends, a very good day to all. I'm Linda and I welcome all of you to this testing tutorial. Today's topic is fundamental test process. Testing is a process. It is not just a single activity. And this whole process comprises of 5 basic steps. That is planning and control, analysis and design, implementation and execution, evaluating exit criteria, and reporting test closure activities. In this video, we are going to discuss the first one in detail, that is planning and control. Everything needs a planning, right? So does testing. If the planning goes wrong, then everything goes wrong. So it is the most important and basic step in this process. All of these 5 activities have some important tasks to perform. So let's see what are the major tasks of test planning. Test planning has a total of 6 major tasks, and they are: first one, to determine the scope and risks and identify the objectives of testing. That is, when producing a test plan, we should clearly define the scope of the testing and state all the assumptions being made. Next one, to determine the test approach. Several test approaches are there. Test approach defines how testing would be carried out. Test approach has 2 techniques, proactive and reactive. Proactive is an approach in which the test design process is initiated as early as possible in order to find and fix the defects before the build is created. Reactive is an approach in which the testing is not started until after design and coding are completed. So proactive means testing is done before the coding is completed, and reactive is just the opposite. That is, testing is done after the coding part. And third task is to implement the test policy and the test strategy. Test policy. Every organization has its own method and rules for testing. That is its own policy. Test policy is a document which represents those methods and rules of the company, which in turn provides a direction which the testing department should follow. And now, test strategy. It is an outline that describes the testing portion of the development life cycle. Each and every single line of code is not tested, right? Means which portion of the coding has to be tested in an orderly fashion. It is actually created to inform project managers, testers, and developers about some key issues of the testing process. And what are those key issues? It includes testing objectives, method of testing, total time and resources required for the project, and the testing environment. And the fourth task is to determine the required test resources like people, test environments, etc. Fifth one, to schedule test analysis and design tasks, test implementation, execution, and evaluation. Analysis and design, implementation and execution, and evaluation are the following steps in the test process, so we'll discuss it there. Now here, we just have to schedule those tasks like timing and all. For each and every task, we need to set a time period, and we have to complete those tasks within that time limit. Last one, to determine the exit criteria, we need to set a criteria called coverage criteria. Exit criteria is a process defining when to stop testing. Here, we are going to set another criteria called coverage criteria because this is needed to determine the exit criteria. So what is coverage criteria? Coverage criteria is used to measure how well the program is exercised by a test suite. And what is test suite? It's a collection of test cases which are used to test a software program. Test case, you know that it is a set of conditions under which a tester will determine whether a system under test or an application satisfies requirements, or in simple words, it just works correctly. Now coming back to coverage criteria, it is the percentage of statements in the software that must be executed during testing. So this will help us track whether we are completing test activities correctly. And this will again show us which tasks and checks we must complete for a particular level of testing before we can say that testing is finished. There are so many levels of testing like unit testing, system testing, integration testing, etc. Now, this is the diagram which shows the test plan, test suite, and test case. Test plan is a document describing the testing scope, test approach, resources, schedule of intended test activities, etc. Test plan will have several test suites and each test suite have n number of test cases. Next is test control. It also has 5 important tasks. First one, to measure and analyze the results of reviews and testing. Second one, to monitor and document progress, that is test progress, test coverage and exit criteria. Everything should be monitored and documented properly. Test coverage, it is a metric in software testing. It comes under coverage criteria. It is the amount of testing performed by a set of tests. That is, which part of program are executed while running the test suite. Coverage can be calculated using the following formula. Coverage equal to number of coverage items exercised divided by total number of coverage items into 100%. Third task of test control is to provide information on testing. Fourth, to initiate corrective actions. Fifth, to make decisions. That's all for today, and the previous day video link is given in the description box below, so please check it out, and thank you for watching.